First down and goal. Play action. Purdy looking end zone. Lets it rip, and he's got a touchdown to Brandon Ayuk.
138, we didn't necessarily expect it, but we knew that we had an opportunity to make a statement. That's exactly what we did.
Pass is picked again.
I told the team that we just had to flush this one. Obviously a game that we feel we should have won.
Tyreek Hill, whoever didn't draft him, like the first 4 or 5 picks, like you guys f***ed up. It felt good. It was an easy W, if I'm being honest.
Played like shit. Excuse my language, but
I'm confident in my team, confident in my players, and confident that we're going to get a win this week.
So happy we got the win.
At the end of the day, it's about winning.
It definitely feels good to be 1-0.
We're going to continue to work, continue to grind, continue to battle.
If I'm being honest, I hate putting this on air. I think Yousef is the most dominant team in the league. It's scary to look at.
I agree.
Hello and welcome to Hammer the Nail. I'm your host, Nick Rogowski. An exciting week 1 in engineering class fantasy football. My matchup against Quinn, it was probably as weird as all of week 1 was. Congrats, Quinny. Gutsy matchup. You got the win. Elsewhere in the South, Kyle's team exploded against Sevi. We'll speak with Kyle upcoming. The defending champ, Drew.
I tried to recruit Drew to trade you Travis Kelce for Eckler.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? I guess in this point, the chicken did. But Drew laid an egg this week against NB. Blocker won the crossover game against Frisco in sort of a pillow fight, if you know what I mean. And up north, Alex Glam was not able to hold on against Ramon. Stephon Diggs and James Cook and Tony was able to come back and climb that Frank Buckley tree in our game of the week and get that first week dub. Congrats, Tony. But the big story in the league was the Big Yos. We go live to the podium where he's supposed to speak in just a moment.
Just a few comments before we begin. Really thrilling victory for us. We've been waiting all offseason for this opportunity, the opportunity to win, the opportunity to compete. Just taking a chance to look at the box score. 3 guys with a target share of 29% or higher. That's outstanding. We want guys who are out there getting open, making plays. 138, we didn't necessarily expect it, but we knew that we had an opportunity to make a statement. That's exactly what we did. With that, we will open it up for questions.
Dan Patterson with the Medieval Times newspaper. Yos, what was your the biggest positive? What's the biggest takeaway from this week 1 victory?
I think that we set the tone early, and that's really what we needed to do. And those early afternoon guys really set the tone, getting catches, getting touchdowns, and just the passion, man. Like, these guys love playing football. Dan, you love, doing the things you love to do, I'm sure. I mean, you do great work with the Medieval Sun Times or whatever you just said. And, these guys love to play the game. And, we were hungry. The motto for this season has been humble but hungry. And the guys were hungry to play and hungry to compete. There have been a lot of guys chirping. We've been getting ripped in the media last year. A lot of players having career years taking shots at us because we were dealing with some injuries at the time. We always knew we were going to get the last lap, but we also understand this is 1 win. So we're going to continue to work, continue to grind, continue to make plays. But, really great opportunity for us this week 1, and we're excited. We're moving forward to Raymond week 2.
Yeah, this is Jason Mraz with the Fedora Gazette. Yos, a big moniker of your season so far has been to look forward, and looking forward to this next week's matchup against Ramon. How do you feel going into this? Are you nervous? Not much scouting report on Ramon's lineup, but how do you feel moving into this?
Jason, love your music, by the way. Ramon's always a tough scout. You hit it right on the head. He keeps his players on the bench, so it's hard to know what his projections are going to look like. We know he is dealing with a tough injury with J.K. Dobbins going out. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. He's the defending North champion for a reason, but we feel like the combination of workhorse running backs we have, the dominant wide receivers, we feel like Gino's going to bounce back. All we can control is our roster, and we feel like at this point in time our roster looks really strong. We feel very confident, but we understand. Look, Bennett, Raymond, week 1 and 2, those were the 2 guys to beat in the North last year. We wanted to challenge ourselves by taking on those guys early in the season. And, if we can come out away 2-0, we're going to feel really good about our outlook in the North.
This is Clyde Andrews with Hustler Magazine. Yousef, do you think that Brandon Ayuk can keep up the great play that he's suddenly been able to put out on the field, dating back even to last season?
Look, you can't project 32 a week for Ayuk, but what we liked is the fact that he was getting open, making plays, doing the best with his opportunities. 8 targets, that's significant. That's something that we feel that he can sustain. The fact that he has that type of talent in him, we expect him to be a big-time impact player for us. We feel like when he was there for us in the 5th round, he was one of the best values. He's really taken advantage of this opportunity. We feel like he's a potential guy who could be on the wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 borderline for us. And, that's something, if we had known, we would have taken him higher, obviously. There's always risk baked into, every draft ADP, but he's smashing it right now. We expect him to continue.
Yes, looks like we have a young lady in the back. Hi, Yost. This is Andy Rogowski. I just wanted to know, what's your favorite fruit?
Great question, Andy. Let me think about that. I really enjoy the fruits of our labor. We've been working really hard in the off season. 138 points in week 1. When you work hard, that's what you deserve. And I'm sure your father tells you all the time, you work hard, you can do anything in this world. There are a lot of great things in life. There are a lot of great fruits out there. We like oranges. We've got some oranges in the refrigerator. There's nothing more rewarding than working hard and reaping the fruits of your labor. So, is that it? All right, thanks guys for coming out. Hail FC, man. Looking forward to a strong week 2. Thank you.
I'm Yousef Nasser, and I love my mom. Gibson putting for par. Oh. That's why when it was time for her to sell her home, I turned to the best.
I'm a real estate agent, and you're occupying a lot of real estate.
Kyle Toomey is one of the better players in the Engineering Class Fantasy Football League this year, and he's even better at making viral TikTok videos where he jumps in and out of houses like he's a character in Temple Run 2.
He's been named Washingtonian's top real estate agent, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 44 times.
So if you're looking to sell your home this year, the choice is clear.
And they go to the end zone and caught. Touchdown! Touchdown!
My fantasy team makes me smile.
Sell with Kyle. Welcome back to the Hammer and the Nail. Yousef Nasser, Nick Rogowski, and we've got a first-time guest. He didn't make it on at all last season, but he's here now. The legend, Kyle Toomey, the running realtor. Kyle Toomey, the running realtor. Kyle, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I just needed to get a couple wins in the book before joining the pod.
One win.
Kyle, let's talk about it. What were your expectations after the draft? As we saw in episode 1, a lot of people were kind of jazzing you up. You locked in both Green Bay running backs as your RB1s and 2s.
Yikes, dude. Are you just going to play eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
I'm borderline hoping for an injury from one of them.
Kyle was trying to just be efficient in the games he had to watch.
Saying that your team is brutal. MB made the legendary joke. Be efficient and who you have to watch, but you got the last laugh, putting up 130, Tyreek Hill 44, Aaron Jones 26. I'm not much of a math guy, but I think that adds up to 70. I think that's 70. What were your expectations after the draft, and how have they changed after your dominant week 1 performance against Seven?
The champion, the reigning champion. That's the last time we'll ever touch that trophy. Thanks for the time, sir.
This was the first year I did not feel like I had the best team in the league after the draft. Turns out that maybe is a blessing in disguise. And I think I had a great week 1, and I think I'm probably going to go undefeated this year.
Kyle, I think I can definitely emulate your feelings there on the draft, but you were very upset in the first episode of Hammer and the Nail about Yost taking up all the seats on the couch.
We have a 5-person couch, and are the commissioners occupying 4 of the seats? I'm a real estate agent, and you're occupying a lot of real estate.
It kept me up all week, and I just have to ask you, What was the resolution there? Did you ever sell some real estate? Did you ever get a seat on the couch? What happened there?
We were having the draft at Tony's place, and there's a 5-seated couch right there. And Yost, he's a big guy, but there's no way he should be occupying more than 2 spaces. I'm happy to give him 2 in any situation. He was occupying like 3.5, and that's unacceptable in the real estate world, right? Some call that real estate hoarding.
So were you ever able to get a position on that seat?
Yeah, actually, Yost had to go handle some things with Raymond.
What do you think? You're just trying to remember your password?
I would bet like $500,000 this is Raymond who can't sign into his ESPN account again. This exact same thing happened for like the last 2 years in a row.
When he left to go do that with Raymond, I kind of slid in there as like a secondary buyer and snagged it.
Kyle spent a lot of time at the kitchen table, I will just say. So that was that fuss was much ado about nothing.
Well, actually, can I jump in on that real quick? I started the draft on the couch, like the first 5 or 6 rounds, and that's when my draft was absolutely electric. I then went to the kitchen when I gave up my real estate, and my draft went pretty far south when I left that couch. So moving forward, I'm going to be a couch drafter.
Kyle, people give you a hard time about your 1 championship in this league. It's one of my biggest regrets, having the stupid rule where you could trade future assets for current players.
Kyle is an average talent. Kyle has 1 championship that he's had because he traded with another low-end member, by getting 2 draft picks, a 3rd and a 5th for a top 15 quarterback, I believe, James Winston. It was pretty embarrassing, and that's what it took to get him a championship. If that doesn't happen, Kyle's just like anybody else, an average record in the regular season or above average, and then can't perform.
I'm wondering if you feel like the criticism is unfair to you and your fantasy football capabilities. I mean, in essence, you got Travis Kelce for free. That's not something that'll ever happen again. Do you feel like the criticism is unfair, or does it give you a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to prove that you can win potentially this year with a normal roster?
I didn't break any rules. I didn't do anything that was illegal. I just played within the playbook and I capitalized, right? So I don't know where the criticism is coming from.
There's been a lot of debauchery about your NFL team alliance. Are you an Eagles fan? Are you a Washington Redskins fan, Commander? Sorry. Are you a Carolina Panthers fan? Can we set the record straight once and for all? Who is your number one, gun to your head? Who's your number
my
one?
number one, the team that I will always cheer the hardest for, is my fantasy team. I think it goes my fantasy team, followed by whatever DraftKings lineup I'm playing that week is my second favorite team. And then probably the Washington Commanders and all Washington sports. I don't know where the Philadelphia stuff's coming from. I think Yost started a rumor. People started playing with it a little bit, and it's just fake news.
Have you seen that song?
The Commanders.
You sound like a Power Ranger.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, Kyle, you alluded to it a little earlier. Where do you feel like your team stacks up in the South?
I think I'm here to play this year, boys. I have every running back 1, 2, and 3 on every single team. I have the best wide receiver punch in the league. Justin Fields, we're feeling a little iffy on him week 1, but rumor has it he's a mid-season type player, so we're going to let him dangle for a little bit in the beginning, but we're feeling great. We got some good assets.
Well, that's going to do it with our Kyle interview, but coming up, Kyle's going to stick around for our weekly picks segment. Rogo had a rough week last week. I had a solid week. What's Kyle's potential? We're going to go ahead and knock out those weekly picks coming up after this. I'm Yousef and I used to get very nervous before my fantasy drafts. I was jittery and found it hard to focus.
Who do I pick?
Then I tried blockers, and everything changed.
Ramondre Stevenson? In the second?
Blockers is an odorless, sweat-inducing deodorant
I'll take T. Higgins.
that helps you sweat the stress of draft day away.
First time this year using blockers. First time leading the league in points.
For 3 small payments of $9.95 and a tight end I can play on a bye week, we'll send you a month's worth of blockers.
Call in the next 15 minutes and you can get a free shirt and a free can of blockers.
Blockers. If you don't sweat it, you don't get it.
Low stress, more sweat. Blockers.
Buy blockers today.
It's the moment you've all been waiting for, weekly picks. Now, Rogo, you had a rough week 1, buddy. 2-5 for you. I went 5-2. Kyle, you've got a lot of pit stains, and it's ironic because the guest picker who's got the record is Blocker.
Oh, we got Block? We got Blocker? Block, can I get a fuck you from you to me?
Fuck you, Kyle. That's my blocker.
He's 6-1. Can you get to 6-1 Only time will tell. Without further ado, let's get to it. We start with my matchup. Coming off of leading the league in points in week 1, I play Raymond.
Quick and brief, I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the fans now.
Guys, I'm feeling good after my week 1 victory. I think I'm going to win this. I'm going to set the line at 15.5. I'm taking Yousef.
Yeah, I think Yost, I'm gonna have to dive in there with you. Raymond squeaked one out against Brian. Unfortunate that Rodgers went down.
If I'm being honest, I hate putting this on air. I think Yousef has the most dominant team in the league. It's scary to look at.
Next matchup, we go to Rogo, a heartbreaking loss. Josh Allen did not perform in a game that was supposed to be his homecoming game against Quinn. Can he bounce back in week 2 against Alex Blom? I think he does. The projections say it. Projections bear it out. I think a bounce back game is in store for Rogo. T. Higgins is going to have more than 0. That's my bold call of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to go with me here, even though I don't want to. You got to think that Josh Allen isn't going to have the worst game of his absolute career. The same night that I need him to not have the worst game of his career.
I'm going Rogo here too. Allen, Higgins, they're both going to bounce back. I think you might be onto something with Pittman. A lot of folks were down on him this year, but it seems like maybe he's got something in the tank. Facing off against Pollard, A.J. Brown, Allen's a little frightening, but I think you're going to pull this one off there.
It's time for our game of the week, NB versus Kyle. These are the 2 best teams in the South.
I don't know if you've been serious or not.
What?
Do you want one of your leads?
No. I'm figuring it out.
NB's projected to win. Kyle had an explosive win this past week against Sevi. Guys, who do you think's going to win this one? I'm going to start with you, Rogo. Who's your call on this game?
I'm gonna have to go NB. NB, make sure you have those sunglasses on, man, because your future's bright in this league, I think.
Part of me thinks NB is going to win, but I'm going with myself here. Staring down the barrel of a gun with Jalen Hurts and McCaffrey is quite frightening, if I'm being honest. But I can't come on the show and not pick myself.
You know what? I think that as much as I like Kyle's performance, his team week 1, Aaron Jones dealing with a little bit of the nagging hamstring injury. I think Jalen Hurts going to go off for 3 touchdowns. McCaffrey's an absolute stud. I think NB wins, say by 5 points. I'm going to go NB. Let's keep going. Tony Cordova. Big win against Frank last week.
They're dog water.
He's playing Driscoll.
There is no doubt that Chris Driscoll is in fact the worst player in our league.
Despite some of the good players on Tony's team, not as well-rounded as you'd expect from a Tony Cordova team. Meanwhile, I think that Driscoll obviously had a slow week last week. I think he's got some guys who are going to bounce back. Who am I kidding? Reverse that, just looking down Driscoll's roster. I don't see it. Tony's going to win.
I'm going to go the other way here. I am pro Tony this season. Tony, great start. Yeah, I think it's going to be close, but I'm going to give it to Driscoll. Although Tony, I am pro Tony. Great week 1 win, but
I don't think Tony's team is all that great. He was very high on James Cook. I think he's kind of just a guy that's good for a 10-bagger every week. Kyle Pitts, like starting a ghost. I'm going Driscoll here. He's going to get a bounce back from Burrow and Goddard.
Next matchup, we talked about Tony. He knocked out the Factory last week. The Factory and Big Bad Bennett, 2 0-1 teams in the North. And just scanning down the rosters, I think that
I have hair, bro.
Bennett has what it takes to get a bounce back in week 2, sending the Factory spiraling into an 0-2 start potentially. What say you guys?
It's going to be close, and I'm going to go with the weekly tie prediction here. I just think that Lamar Jackson, he's on the trading block. We all saw that news. Cam Akers, you just don't know what he's going to be in the Rams offense. And Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, who knows? I'm going tie. What do you think, Kyle?
Yo, hey.
What up, Bennett?
Toomey, oh my God. Toomey, oh my God.
I'm going Frank here. I don't see a lot in Bennett's team. I think Henry's on the downhill slope. Damian Pierce, rookie quarterback. It doesn't add up to me. Jamar's going to have a bounce back week for Frank, and I think he's got this matchup in the bag pretty handily.
Let's keep it going. Sevi against Quinn.
We are here with Sevi Steve. Sevi, how we doing, buddy?
I didn't know Hugo was in our league.
This is an easy one for me. Sevi lost last week. Quinn won against, I forgot who he beat. I just think that Quinn's lost too many players. Gutsy win against Nick, but I think Sevi's taking this one handily.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Quinn here. I think this could be his year. He's one of 2 players in the league that hasn't made the finals, but I think this could be his year. He's off to a hot start, gutty performance. I think he could gut one out again. So I'm going Team Quinn. Have those 2 points on me. Go Irish. Let's go, baby.
I'm going Sevy here. I played him last week. That kid Dijon got something out of him. He's going to be putting up 25 baggers every week. So I got Sevy here.
Touchdown.
Final matchup. These are two teams that are considered some of the best teams historically in the South.
There's two consistents in the league. It's blockers drafting at the back half of the draft and then going back to back this year.
Yeah, I really suck at everything we do to pick draft order.
Blocker has that dynamic duo of receivers, Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, but does he have enough around those guys? I think the doc is in store to get in the win column this week, putting down Blocker. Both teams will be 1-1 after this week.
I think I'm going to give the edge to the doc here. What do you think?
I'm going Doc. Anthony Blockers never like or hearted or exclamation mark one of my messages in the group chat, and that really hurt me. And so without any analysis here, I'm taking not Anthony Blocker.
And I took that personally.
All right, well, the internet connection was an adventure for sure. Week 1 was an adventure, an exciting week 1, a low-scoring week 1. I'm hoping that we get fireworks in week 2. I'd like to thank both Kyle and Rogo for coming on. Any last words from you guys before we get on to week 2?
Kyle, I'll throw it to you as a new guest. Great to have you on, buddy. Internet connection, questionable. Your fantasy team, I don't think so questionable this year. I'm looking forward to watching your team, buddy.
I'm out of here.
See you, pal.
Peace.
Get Comcast in there. Jesus.